My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold, my refuge and my Saviour. From violent people you save me.
You're gathered here today to stand up for your brothers and sisters in Egypt. And today we stand with you as Australians and friends of the Coptic community. We share your grief, we share your upset, we share your concern. My friends, we share your grief today. And on behalf of the Prime Minister and Government of Australia, I express my condolences not only to the victims and families of the massacre at Maspero Square and on other churches, but to all members of the Coptic community around the world. And we say again, as has been communicated by the Government of Australia to the Government of Egypt, we say that all members of the Egyptian community, be they Coptic or non-Coptic, should be able to look to the Government of Egypt and to the Army of Egypt in times of trouble for protection. If you can't look to a government for protection, then a community will live in fear, and no community deserves to live in fear. In so many countries in the Middle East in recent years, we've seen hope followed by despair. We've seen the fall of a dictatorship followed by violence. We've seen the fall of a brutal regime followed by violence towards members of Christian minorities. Today we say, let Egypt be different. Let Egypt shine the way forward for other countries in the Middle East. Let Egypt be a nation that gives all members of its community the right to live in freedom, regardless of their religion, regardless of their beliefs. All members of the Egyptian community should be able to live in freedom and peace.
Yes!
Members of the Coptic community in Egypt cannot protest.
Yes, that's true.
But you can, and you are, and you will continue to.
Yes!
You are the best asset and friend that members of the Coptic community in Egypt have. Together with your cousins and brothers and sisters in the United States, in Canada, in New Zealand, in Europe, you are the voice of the Coptic community in Egypt. It is you who sends the message that the world is watching and the world expects people to be able to live in peace and freedom.
Yes.
Let us say this, the Coptic community always has been and always will be a vital part of Egypt. Australian friends stand shoulder to shoulder with you today to say that we are determined to see peace and freedom for all Egyptians.
That the Parliament condemns the recent attacks on Coptic Christians in Egypt. The Parliament expresses its sympathy for the Coptic Christians who have been victim of recent attacks in Egypt, particularly that previous Sunday. And the Parliament calls on the Egyptian government, 1, to issue a public statement condemning the ongoing attacks against the Coptic Christians in Egypt. We're still waiting for that. 2, to make immediate representations to the United Nations to end the persecution of Coptic Christians in Egypt. And finally, the Parliament strongly urges the Egyptian government to provide equal rights and protection for all Egyptian citizens, regardless of race or religion. So I'm pleased all members genuinely supported that motion in our state parliament. But as we come to this meeting today, as we remember those who have died in Egypt, the ongoing persecutions, we must make our demands loud and clear, as you are doing here today.
Can I share with you what actually happened in the Senate? Because it's very important today that you understand it's all very well for people to come here and tell you that they support you, but when when they are called upon to vote in the Houses of Parliament, it's a different story. So let me read to you the motion that I and Senator Barnett and Senator Bernardi put up in the Senate on the 22nd of June. It reads that the Senate recognises that Coptic Christians in Egypt are suffering ongoing and increasing persecution, condemns the recent attacks on Coptic Christians in Egypt, expresses its sympathy for Coptic Christians who have been victims of recent attacks in Egypt.
My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, and the whole of my salvation. He is my stronghold, my refuge and my Saviour. From violent people you save me.